By accepting and becoming a prepper, many people take comfort in knowing they're equipped to handle crises. However, this level of readiness can also attract the attention of various government agencies. These agencies that are tasked with ensuring public safety and resource allocation during emergencies often monitor activities that indicate high levels of self-sufficiency and preparation. So here are some signs that you might be on the government's radar and how to mitigate this attention. First of all, is this really legitimate? You're probably thinking to yourself, the government isn't going to bother with me. I'm nobody. They have lots of other things to do. Well, it isn't necessarily the government directly, but it could be. Keep in mind that every single thing you do is tracked to some degree every time you create any type of electronic or data imprint. Social media is probably one of the biggest culprits of this tracking. We've all made jokes about how we can simply talk about a subject or an item, and the next time you log on to a social media platform, there it is, the thing you talked about. And every time you watch certain videos, type in certain searches, or interact with certain companies, brands, or people online, a tiny red flag pops up. You ever notice that even the commercials that you're shown on social media as well as on streaming services are ones that typically are of interest to you? That's because you're being tracked, tagged, monitored, and noticed. Here are some other ways that government agencies can and will tag you and place you on someone's list somewhere. Frequent large withdrawals of cash. Regularly withdrawing large sums of money can be a red flag. It suggests that you prefer to keep your assets in cash, which can be seen as an attempt to avoid digital tracking. To stay below the radar, consider using a combination of cash and digital transactions. Withdraw smaller amounts more frequently and mix them with regular everyday purchases to avoid drawing attention. And also ask for cash back when you make purchases with your debit card at stores that offer this feature, because it will only show the added cash as part of the entire transaction from that store. Generator purchase. Buying a generator is definitely a practical step for anyone looking to maintain power during outages, but it also signals a move towards self-sufficiency. Government agencies may take note of such purchases. To avoid this, consider buying used equipment from private sellers or smaller stores that may not keep detailed records of their customers, and also may not be as tech-reliant as big businesses. Alternatively, spread out your purchases over time to avoid large, noticeable transactions. Survival food purchases. Stockpiling large amounts of survival food is a clear indicator of preparedness. Instead of buying in bulk from one store, spread your purchases across multiple vendors and locations. And you can also opt for items that are part of a regular diet but have a long shelf life, like canned goods and dried foods, to blend your purchases with normal shopping habits. Online activity. We touched on this, but your online searches and activities related to prepping and survivalism can be easily monitored. To keep a low profile, use privacy-focused browsers and search engines, and avoid sharing your prepping plans on social media. Consider using encrypted communication tools when discussing sensitive topics online. Public discussion of preparations. Talking about your emergency preparations in public or at a social gathering can inadvertently spread the word. To maintain your privacy, keep these discussions only to trusted friends and family who understand the importance of discretion. When in public, steer conversations towards general topics or everyday concerns. Ownership of properties in designated flood zones. Believe it or not, owning property in high-risk flood zones puts you in regular contact with government agencies concerned with disaster management. To minimize scrutiny, ensure all your paperwork and insurance are up to date and compliant with local regulations. And consider taking additional steps to flood-proof your property to reduce the need for frequent government interaction. Submission of building permits in vulnerable areas. Building in disaster-prone areas requires permits that also attract government attention. When submitting your permits, ensure that your plans comply with all safety and resilience standards to avoid unnecessary delays or inspections. Keeping a low profile can also involve choosing building materials and designs that are less conspicuous but still effective. Participation in community emergency response teams or CERT. When joining CERTs is beneficial for community preparedness, it also means regular interaction with government agencies. To keep a low profile, balance your participation with other community activities that do not draw as much attention. This helps you stay informed and prepared without standing out. Large amounts of emergency supplies. Transforming your home into a hub of emergency supplies can make you a person of interest. To avoid this, purchase supplies gradually and from a variety of sources. Store your supplies discreetly and avoid discussing the extent of your stockpile with anyone outside your trusted circle. Firearm and ammunition purchases. Buying firearms and ammunition is closely monitored. To keep a low profile, make smaller, less frequent purchases and consider buying from various different vendors. Ensure that all transactions are legal and properly documented to avoid drawing unnecessary attention. The purchase of precious metals. Accumulating gold and silver can be seen as a hedge against economic instability, which might attract government scrutiny. Instead of large, noticeable purchases, buy smaller quantities over time. Additionally, consider alternative investments that are less conspicuous but still provide financial security. Your location. Living in disaster-prone areas or near critical infrastructure increases your visibility to government agencies. And while you probably aren't going to be able to change your location, you can take steps to ensure your home is well prepared and compliant with local regulations. Engage in community planning and preparedness initiatives discreetly to avoid standing out. And while being prepared for emergencies is commendable, it is essential to balance your readiness with privacy. By understanding the signs that might attract government attention and taking steps to mitigate this, you can maintain a low profile while ensuring you and your loved ones are prepared for any eventuality. Discretion, compliance, and strategic purchasing are key to staying below the radar while being fully prepared.